So, you have your eye on a Virgo. And if you have spent any real time around this person, you have probably noticed something that is hard to put your finger on at first. They are not flashy. They are not performing for the room. But there is a quality of attention they bring to everything they do that is genuinely compelling once you see it. They notice things other people walk right past. They think carefully before they speak. And when they do speak, what they say tends to be worth listening to. There is a quiet precision to a Virgo that, once you have experienced it up close, is remarkably difficult to stop thinking about. So here you are. And this video is not going to waste your time pretending you are here for any other reason than the one you are actually here for. What it is going to give you is a real and grounded understanding of how Virgo actually moves in love. Not the tired version of this sign where they are just critical perfectionists who are impossible to please. That reading is not only unfair, it is genuinely unhelpful if you are trying to understand what is actually happening inside this person when they are drawn to someone. A Virgo in love is thoughtful and surprisingly tender and quietly devoted in ways that take most people completely off guard. But getting to the place where a Virgo feels safe enough and certain enough to let someone fully in, requires understanding them at a level most people never bother to reach. That is exactly what we are going to work through here. 3 real dimensions of Virgo romantic psychology. What draws them in, what sends them retreating into their own head, and what they are quietly hoping for in a partner that they would almost never think to ask for directly. The first mistake people make when pursuing a Virgo is trying to sweep them off their feet. The grand romantic gesture. The over-the-top declaration of interest. The attempt to create so much emotional momentum so quickly that the Virgo gets carried along by it before they have had time to think. This approach might work on some signs. It does not work on Virgo. In fact, it tends to produce the opposite of the intended effect. A Virgo who feels rushed or overwhelmed by intensity in the early stages does not get swept up in it. They get suspicious of it. They start asking themselves what is underneath all of that enthusiasm and whether it is actually real or whether it is performance. And once a Virgo starts asking that question, they become very hard to reassure. Virgo is a mutable earth sign, ruled by Mercury. That combination is important to understand. The Earth grounds everything in the practical and the real. Mercury sharpens the mind toward analysis, discernment, and the careful processing of information. Put those 2 qualities together, and you get someone who is genuinely wired to notice inconsistency, to question what does not add up, and to trust their own careful assessment of a situation over the emotional heat of a moment. A Virgo does not fall for the feeling of something. They fall for the evidence of something. And evidence takes time to accumulate. What this means for you practically is that the most attractive thing you can offer a Virgo in the early stages of connection is not intensity, it is integrity. The alignment between what you say and what you do. The consistency of who you are across different contexts and different moods. A Virgo is watching all of that with considerably more attention than you probably realize. They are not doing it to be suspicious or cold. They are doing it because they genuinely care about getting this right. They do not give their heart casually, and they do not want to give it mistakenly. So the concrete thing to bring here is simple, but it requires real self-awareness. Follow through on everything you say you will do. Every small thing. If you say you will call, call. If you say you are interested in something they mentioned, come back to it. Let your reliability speak for you in the quiet, consistent way that actually registers to this sign. That accumulation of small-kept promises is worth more to a Virgo than any single grand gesture you could ever produce. The second thing people consistently misread about Virgo is the critical tendency. Virgo notices what is not quite right. They see the gap between how things are and how they could be. And in a relationship context, people often experience that noticing as judgment, as a signal that they are falling short, that the Virgo is dissatisfied, that nothing they do will ever quite be enough. And so they either shrink in response, becoming anxious and self-conscious around the Virgo, or they push back defensively, taking the observations personally and creating friction that the Virgo did not intend and does not quite understand. Here is what is actually happening. A Virgo's discernment is not fundamentally about finding fault in others. It is about a genuine and deeply held commitment to improvement in themselves, in their work, in the world immediately around them. Mercury's influence here is about refinement, about the ongoing process of making things better, clearer, more precise. When a Virgo notices something in you that could be different, it is usually because they are paying close enough attention to see you clearly. And paying close attention is, for this sign, one of the primary expressions of care. The problem is that they do not always read the room well enough to know when their observations are welcome and when they land as criticism. It is a genuine blind spot, and it is worth understanding rather than reacting to. The insight that follows from this is about how you receive feedback generally. A Virgo is genuinely attracted to people who are self-aware and who have a real relationship with their own growth. Not people who are endlessly self-critical. That energy is exhausting for everyone, including Virgo. But people who can hear an honest observation without crumbling or flaring up. People who are curious about their own patterns rather than defensive about them. If you can engage with your Virgo's observations from a place of genuine openness rather than threat, two things happen. They feel deeply comfortable around you in a way they rarely feel with most people. And they start to trust that you can handle the real them, the one who notices everything and sometimes cannot help but say so. The concrete practice here is to actively invite honesty from your Virgo. Ask them what they actually think about something, and then receive whatever comes back with genuine curiosity. That willingness to be known honestly is one of the most disarming things you can offer this sign. The third dimension is the one that most people who pursue Virgo never reach at all, because it requires seeing past everything this sign uses to keep a careful distance from their own vulnerability. Here is the misconception. Because Virgo is so competent and so self-sufficient and so apparently focused on getting things right, people assume they are primarily practical in love. That what they want from a partner is efficiency and reliability and someone who keeps their life running smoothly. And while a Virgo does deeply appreciate a partner who is grounded and capable, reducing what they need in love to the practical level misses something essential about this sign. Underneath all of that careful, analytical composure is someone who feels things with a depth and a tenderness that they almost never advertise. Virgo is not emotionally detached. They are emotionally private. There is a significant difference. They have a rich interior life that they share with very few people, if any, in its full form. Part of what keeps it private is a genuine fear of being seen as too much, too sensitive, too particular, too invested in something that might not be returned. Virgo holds themselves to a very high standard. And somewhere in that self-demand is a quiet worry that if someone saw all of it, the full, unedited interior, they might find it lacking. What a Virgo needs from a partner at the deepest level is to feel genuinely accepted. Not praised, not idealized, accepted. With the specificity and the overthinking and the standards and the occasional spiral of self-doubt that comes with being them. A partner who can receive all of that without trying to fix it or minimize it or offer a cheerful counterargument is extraordinarily rare in a Virgo's experience. And when they find that person, when they find someone who can sit with them in the full complexity of who they are and not seem remotely put off by it, something unlocks in this sign that is beautiful to witness. The concrete thing to do here is to create genuine space for your Virgo to be imperfect around you. Let them worry out loud without immediately rushing to reassure. Let them be uncertain without offering easy answers. Let them be the version of themselves that does not have it all together, and meet that version with the same warmth and interest you bring to the polished one. That acceptance is the thing a Virgo falls for, deeply and lastingly, and with a devotion that will quietly surprise you. When you step back and hold all three of these pieces together, what you see is a person who is far more romantic than their reputation suggests, and far more vulnerable than their composure implies. A Virgo in love is looking for something specific and something real. They want a partner whose actions consistently match their words. Someone secure enough in themselves to receive honesty without breaking. And someone patient and perceptive enough to find the tender interior beneath all of that careful, considered surface and love what they find there. That is not a small ask, but it is an honest one. And if you are genuinely willing to show up with integrity and openness and real patience, not because you have calculated that it will work, but because that is actually who you are at your best, then you are already offering a Virgo something they will find genuinely rare. Because most people either get put off by the discernment or intimidated by the competence and never make it far enough to discover what lies underneath. You are already further along than that, and that matters. A Virgo who has truly decided on you will show up in your life in ways that are practical and precise and quietly extraordinary. They will remember what you need before you ask. They will work on the relationship with the same care and attention they bring to everything else they value. They do not love loudly, but they love well. And that is worth every bit of patience and integrity it takes to get there. What is something your Virgo did that revealed the tenderness underneath all that composure? A moment where the careful exterior dropped and you saw how much they actually feel? Share it in the comments. Those moments are the real story of this sign, and I genuinely want to hear what you have discovered. If this gave you real insight into your Virgo, make sure to save this video and come back to it. Drop your questions and stories in the comments below. Like and subscribe for the full series. And good luck, you've got this.